understandable for people who are in Miami, who are flying in from other places, Russia, South America, make it as easy as possible. So we said, Miami's on fire, right? And we talk about those topics, things that are going to drive this economy, like real estate, culture, history, right? Even though a lot of people criticize Miami for not having a lot of history, we actually do have a lot. It's just that people don't pay attention because they can go to the beach, they can water ski, they can do all kinds of stuff, go to soccer games, go to, football games. But today we're going to talk about healthcare and healthcare law and what it means to be in a community where there are a lot of older people. Some of them are not in the greatest health and they need help. They need their healthcare to kick in when it's time, when they need that to step up and be able to go to their doctor, go to the hospital, have their medicine available. And our guest today is Maria Santi, who is a badass attorney who is fighting for you every day against some of the biggest healthcare companies, including Oscar, my namesake. Unfortunately, went up against her and lost, right? So we're going to hear that story today. We're also going to find out how she does her job, how she finds her clients, how does she charge people for this? What is the typical settlement in a situation like this? We want to welcome her and thank her for coming today. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Having me. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So I know that Peter usually starts off the questions because he can't help himself. He's a control freak. So why don't you start, Peter?
Well, Maria, we were talking before we started. You're actually a unicorn. You're born and raised in Miami, and you were born over at Mercy Hospital.
That's right.
You got local roots.
I do. Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about you, your family, your sort of involvement in the community?
Well, I've been here all my life. I had my kids young. So my priorities were my family when I was a little bit younger. I did go to FIU. I'm fully local in that regard.
So have you been to Pitbull Stadium? Pitbull, the artist, paid for the rights, and now he's got the naming rights of that stadium. Have you gone to Pitbull Stadium?
Not yet, no. I don't even know what that is. That's a new thing, right?
It is.
But so I've always been involved in the community. Like I said, went to FIU, then I went to law school later on in life. But I've always tried to be involved in nonprofits as well. Like I like to do a lot of community service related to either helping women or children. And that's really been where my focus has been as far as community involvement. I'm also involved in the legal community as I'm an attorney, and I do go to some of those events. Mainly now I'm focused on what I do and practice helping people get coverage when their health insurance claims are denied.
Which is a big issue. It's a big issue for everybody, especially with all the changes going on with healthcare, with the reduction of what do you want to call it, subsidies under the Obamacare, stuff like that. We're not necessarily going to talk about that, but healthcare is on everybody's mind. Affordability is on everybody's mind. You look at gas prices, Oscar. I don't have a car. You are my driver. You're my Cuban, Uber, my Cuber. And I don't have a car, but I still can see gas prices are higher. Outrageous. And they're going higher and higher and higher, and everything's it's about affordability.
It is.
And when you pay for your healthcare, and you run yourself into a situation where the doctor says you need to get a test, the doctor says you need this medication, and then the insurance company says, doctor doesn't know what the heck they're talking about. It's got to be frustrating for many people, and they don't know what to do. So they call somebody who wears a cape. They show up in the courtroom, and they basically are able to go ahead and try to convince a judge, this is what's necessary, this is what's proper, this is what's right. And ultimately, a judge is going to make the decision, or in some cases, I'm assuming a jury makes that decision.
Yes, it can be the judge or the jury. So it would depend on the case.
I mean, the biggest issue oftentimes in the U.S. with corporations is that we think of them as people to a certain degree. They're going to do the right thing, but it's all about the money. I mean, the bottom line is, especially if it's a public company, they need to satisfy their shareholders. And at the end of the day, they're counting pennies because they're the salaries and the bonuses of the CEOs and all those guys, all those people at the top level are based on how much money they can save, right? So is that a factor that you deal with when you're in the courtroom? Do you use that kind of strategy, that kind of context to help make the case for why a company like Oscar might deny something to a patient or a member?
Well, I think in the grand scheme of things, those are policy issues, but they're not really something you can bring up in court unless there's a reason for that or there's bad faith. You just have to focus on the actual details of that case. And you can't really say, well, here's the big giant and they're going against the little person, even though we all know, that's basically true what you said. But in a court of law, the evidence is limited as to what you can present, and you can't always make those huge policy arguments, which we hear a lot about in Congress these days. And in Washington, they've been talking a lot, in Washington, D.C., they've been talking a lot about this, about what you just said, because we all know that is what guides a lot of these issues.
Right. It's a complicated,
and the denials, yeah.
It's a complicated landscape for individuals, and you don't know exactly what you're up against until your coverage gets denied. In fact, you got a lot of attention recently in March because you won a big case against this healthcare company called Oscar. Is that what it's called?
Yes, Oscar Health Insurance and Oscar Health Maintenance Organization of Florida. It's two companies.
Tell us a little about the case. How did you find this plaintiff, and how did you decide where you were going to focus your attention?
Well, the plaintiff, the patient, he found me because I had actually helped somebody with the same issue with the medication with a Medicare plan. And we had been able to get that approved. And then I guess the doctors knew about that, and somehow my name came up and they said, oh, you got to go see her. And we're talking here about a person that has stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Oh,
so this is like time sensitive. You don't have time to be looking for an attorney or finding someone, and there's not very many attorneys even that do what I do. So they came to me, and then immediately, I had to assess the case. And this was a marketplace policy. I know, like you talked about subsidies. So this is one of those that you can get subsidies because it's under the whole marketplace thing. So when we're looking at a case, we have to look at all the differences because Medicare, Medicaid, employer plans, everything is different. But this was that kind of plan. So we were able to jump on it right away. Very time sensitive. Went to court, and then essentially the doctor was saying, this is a very well-renowned doctor in UHealth, which is one of the best places if you have cancer to get cancer treatment. So the doctor was saying this is absolutely necessary because this is the best option for the patient. This is all that we can do based on everything that's going on. And I had to learn the name of that, which I'm very impressed at myself still till now. It's called Avmapki Fagzinja.
wow, well done.
Yes.
Yeah, but let's see if you can spell it.
I
don't
try
know.
that at the end.
Maybe we can try it at the end.
Right, it'll be a contest.
But yeah, so basically it was something that Oscar Health Insurance was saying this isn't covered under the policy, but it was on their formulary for ovarian cancer, not for pancreatic. The doctor has all these studies. This is like a top doctor in the industry that knows what he's doing. And because of a technicality, they said, well, we're not going to pay for this. I mean, it is $50,000 a month. Yeah. So you could say that could be one of the motivations, but that's not evidence that we would use for that. But anyways, it was technicalities, and they said, we're not covering it. This is only for ovarian cancer. And then, yeah, we had to go in there, and they also did appeals. So in any health insurance claim, when you get a denial, you have to go through an appeals process. The doctors did, I think, 2 or 3, still denied. And the patient had no other choice. So then we said, okay, well, legal action is the only choice. We went to court. We filed an emergency injunction. We went on that. Then we still had to continue to the full final trial, and we won on that. It was an expedited trial. We had to do a jury trial, and Judge Migna Sanchez Llorens was the judge on the case. We had a very smart jury. We always want to say thank you for the time and consideration they gave the case, because it definitely was not an easy case. But that's what we had to do. We went the full way.
Time is of the essence.
Yes.
When you get into healthcare type of lawsuits, is there a particular division of the court system that's carved out for these issues, or is it simply where you would claim some kind of emergency and therefore it's going to get pushed up the docket? How exactly does that work if in fact somebody has stage 4 cancer and it needs to get expedited, and we all know how long the legal system takes?
Yes. So there is no specific department just for health insurance or healthcare issues. It would the way the courts are, it's based on the amount of the case. So how much is this case worth? So this is circuit court because it's over the $50,000 threshold.
So if I were to sue the IRS for $10 billion because of the dollar amount, I would probably leapfrog to the front. So the key is to really put a big dollar amount, and therefore you're probably going to get served quicker.
Faster served.
It's kind of like going to like Disney World.
Right.
If you pay the $50, you're able to jump the line.
Well,
VIP
no,
tour.
not really. No.
Okay.
All the cases, it's the same. You have to file, like I had to file documents saying this was an emergency, and then you have to request hearings, and you have to go through the process, and it really depends on the courts, the clerk, the judge, and I mean, this judge, she did give great attention to the case. Like as soon as she saw that it was an emergency,
Okay.
she recognized it was and did give it the attention I think it deserved. So I think we were lucky in that sense, because some other judges, like they're very busy, don't always have the opportunity. You never really know, but we did have to bring it to the attention of the court. So you have to flag it and say, hey, we need you to look at this case now.
And one last question, Oscar. I know you have some questions, but so when you get into healthcare, the health insurance companies can be, I guess, across the country, I'm assuming. So does that mean you can go to federal court, which is more broader, or do you have to go to circuit court, which is going to be more state oriented? Just as a general rule of thumb.
Well, that depends on the issue. So if it's a federal question, you would be in federal court, or if it's diversity jurisdiction, if the case is over 75,000 or more and the parties are from different states,
Got it.
then it would go to federal court. Here, we weren't really asking for damages. We were just like literally saying, just please cover this medication. Like that's all the patient wanted.
Yeah.
We weren't here saying we want this money. So it didn't go to federal court for that reason, because we were basically just seeking coverage. Like, just please, like he just needs his treatment.
So why would... This is very interesting, I think, for most people, because whenever we hear big cases, it's all about the settlement, right? How big is that number? How much money do they keep? Why wouldn't it be a case involving you sue for damages and the psychological damage on the individual and all that? Why wasn't that a component of this case?
Well, because the important thing here was coverage and the actual medication. It wasn't like, he's not here thinking about how much money I can get out of this. He's there thinking like, I want to save my life. I want to live. I want to spend more time with my family.
Right.
Like, so it wasn't really about that. That's something that now we can look at it after that we got coverage. There's bad faith actions that we can claim all those damages for.
So subsequent lawsuits or anything related, but the key was to deal with the emergency at hand.
Right, and just the coverage issue. So that's all we focused on. Anything else, if that's something we can look at after.
So what about the story of the individual that was going through this? I don't know if they are okay mentioning their name, but can you talk a little bit about what were they going through when they were diagnosed, and what happened after? And like you were saying, they wanted to spend more time with their family. And I know growing up, when I was a younger person, my brother got cancer, and it was an incredibly difficult situation because he was also denied coverage initially. And the key was always about his family. This kind of disease helps or makes your life very different in that it crystallizes where your priorities are, and his family was everything. You mentioned that about your client. Can you talk a little about that story?
Well, a little bit, yes, because it has been on the media, so it is public record. The case did get a lot of attention. So the case is Pablo Langesfeld versus Oscar Health Insurance. And as far as being with the family, that is a priority of his right to live, to continue to live and enjoy his, be with his wife. He's happily married. He, that's part of the testimony. He has a son. Also of significance was that they had lost their daughter in the Surfside collapse.
Oh no.
Wow.
So,
and we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary, so that's going to be a whole bunch of other issues.
So when, they were obviously familiar with the media because of that issue, and then I guess the media somehow learned about it, and they were wanting to follow what was happening with him, because first he went through that, and then dealing with this issue. So the whole thing about wanting to continue to live was also significant because of that experience, right? And this is a very nice, good family. Like, I've gotten to know them, and I admire them very much. Just the perseverance, and even during trial, I'm gonna get a little teary eyed, but like, he was all worried about, I want to make a difference to help other people in my situation.
Yes.
With this case. And that to me was so inspiring. Like, he's not there just thinking about himself. He wants to make a difference. He wants to be able to help more people. And that was wow. Like, I will never forget this client, for sure.
Does this become precedent setting, or is this just a one-off? Like, for instance, if somebody else in a similar type of situation, whether it's Oscar or it's a different healthcare company like United Healthcare or whatever, is this kind of precedent setting locally, or do you have to fight it over and over and over each and every time?
Well, it is somewhat precedent setting locally. It's not like final authority where other courts have to follow it. It would be kind of persuasive, but if somebody would have access to the final judgment, which I think the media did get their hands on somehow and published it, they can say, oh, well, look what they found in this case, and then maybe use it that way. But the way it would be like final authority is if there were an appeal and then the appellate courts then said, no, the judgment is correct, the way that the judge made the decision is right, then at that point it does become established precedent for forever, really, for any cases in our district, and then other courts can cite to that. Right now they can cite to it, but it's a trial court case, so it's not the same thing as an appellate court case, or the Florida Supreme Court heard it or something like that, but it does have value in that way.
Are we looking at it wrong, the general public, when it comes to healthcare and the process? Is it? I mean, it sounds to me, and I'm not an attorney, I don't try to practice attorney, although I think I'm smarter than some of them. Definitely smarter than you, Oscar.
No, definitely
smarter than you. I am positive about that.
Definitely not. Okay, go ahead.
But I guess what the question is healthcare litigation and law, is it actually just contract law? Because it says they got to do this, you pay for this, and then they don't do it. Is it? I mean, and I know there's all the other stuff, the emotional stuff, and the all the other things, the familial stuff, and all that. But does it really just come down to like contract law?
Well, so that depends on the type of policy it is. So in this case, yes, because it was a marketplace policy. Okay. So it's. Yes.
So they just say, no, make us do it, effectively, is what I've found from insurance. They promise you the world, and then when you need it, they're like, dude, you got to come up with this, you got to come up with that. There's all these other things. So it's pretty much par for the course from what I've seen. Yes.
But here you can also, we can also bring up, for example, the Affordable Care Act. They have certain patient rights that need to be respected. So that's part of the contract too. So that kind of comes into it. But at the end of the day, yes, it's contract law, unless it's like if it's Medicaid or Medicare, that gets more complicated because you have administrative rules. And then if it's an employer plan, it's a little bit different too because of the federal law part of it. It's ERISA is the name of it, but it all depends on that. But this one, yes, marketplace policy, contract, and it was simpler than the other ones.
And in terms of this type of case, I mean, we're talking about one company in particular, but this is something that happens across the board. All the healthcare companies are doing this kind of thing at some point or another. It's part of how they operate in the world. It's the business plan for a company.
Yes.
And you could say that they take the approach that other companies take, like you were saying, in terms of denying service. You know, it's an accounting process almost to them.
Well, because I understand what they do, at least my understanding.
Right.
They're collecting your money. They're then taking your money. They're investing it elsewhere to try to make a return.
Right.
And their job is to try to return as little as necessary in order to take advantage or to pay for or to give advantage to their shareholders.
That's right.
Their role is to protect shareholders and bring ultimate value to them. So they're taking your cash and they're doing something else with it.
That's right.
So I mean, from their perspective, it makes all sense in the world.
That's
and then if the CEO can get everybody rejected, they're probably going to get a bonus because they're incentivized to get a bonus. So I mean, as long as you know the rules of engagement.
Right.
So you're actually like David versus Goliath. You're going in there looking to slay these healthcare companies, and in this case, you're just looking for what's right based on the contract law.
Right.
But other times, I'm sure there's payouts, there's other things, and who, when negotiating, is going to give your best offer right up front?
Right.
Probably nobody.
Yeah, I mean that's part of business. But should healthcare approach the welfare of the public like a business. That's the complicated part.
Oh, I don't think it's complicated at all.
And that's why a lot of people in other countries
It's a utility. It's a utility.
It is a utility.
It's a utility.
It is.
And just like from my opinion, and some of you might disagree, but I don't care.
Right.
It's a utility. Electricity is a utility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Water is a utility. So is healthcare.
It is.
Now, if you want to pay for more, from my perspective.
So talking about the mechanics of something like this, I'm very curious about how long does it take for you to prepare for a case like this? And does the time depend on how complicated the case is? Because you have one individual who's denied. You could probably have, if you work 24/7, 7 days a week, you could probably have clients like this all day and night. So how long does it take for you to prepare for this one case to make it have an impact when you walk into the courtroom, when you're filing your filings?
Well, honestly, with this case, I was breathing this case 24/7 because of the issues. Like since I initially, since January of this year, actually, since it was an emergency and then we have this issue, I couldn't really work on anything else. So I would say I was completely consumed by it for 3 full months.
Wow.
I mean, every now and then, obviously, I have to take, rest, take a break, deal with other clients that I have too, but it really consumed everything because it wasn't a normal case in that we had a jury trial and the judge also had to make legal issue decisions for the final judgment. Typically you get a jury, like everyone was asking, well, why we had a jury trial? You won. Why didn't the case end? And it's because it's a declaratory judgment. We're just looking at coverage and the judge has to look at it. So it was very unique in that sense. And then just having to every single day, something like Oscar really fought us really, really hard.
Oscar, the company.
Yes.
Yeah, the bad Oscar, not the good Oscar. Well, Oscar either.
No, I'm super good.
But I can tell you, it's not normal for a case to get filed in January and be at trial in 3 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's shocking how quick it moved.
Yeah, so because we had to, because of the issue, we had to. I'm very grateful that the judge actually took that into consideration. But typically, we see cases that we're waiting a year and a half. Like the normal time frame is a year and a half to 2 years to even get to trial. So it is really extraordinary. That's why it was really full on go. It's those 3 months, it was just living and breathing Langesfeld versus Oscar. I'm having dreams about the case. I'm constantly thinking.
Sounds like a podcast. Listen, you ought to do a series of podcasts walking people through every single step. It's all public record now.
It could be
it's all
6
in the docket.
episodes. Yeah.
No, every single. How many weeks did you go? How many weeks did you go with
a
this
season? Right.
You said 3 months.
Yes.
So you got 12
3 full months.
You got 12 episodes. This is a podcast. This is walking people through it. And think about the educational aspect of it. But I do want to ask you a question though, and I'm a legal neophyte. I don't know anything about anything. I just kind of look at things the way I look at them.
Neophyte means he's dumb. That's what he means.
So aren't judges in the circuit court, some of them are elected, some of them aren't, right?
Yes.
How does that kind of work out? Because I'm just wondering, is this, and I'm not accusing or I'm not saying or anything, but aren't some of our judges in the state elected, and therefore, I'm just talking in general.
I mean, I don't really have an opinion on that, but yes. So some judges are elected, other judges get appointed,
right?
Okay,
by the governor.
So generally speaking, circuit court though, who's elected? When I get a call or I get sent email, hey, donate to this judge in their campaign. What kind of judge are those? Are people ruling on a traffic violation or what kind of judges are elected?
All judges, I believe, the county court judges and the circuit court judges
are all elected. Yeah,
unless they get appointed. They could also get appointed. So if there's a vacancy, the governor might say, well, I'm going to appoint you here, and he just picks somebody that was interested. But typically, all judges would have to run for the seat. And then
so in theory, if there's a lot of media coverage about the ruling and how this case went, and if people are voting, and this is something that they can kind of get behind, in theory, is that kind of how it works out? And you probably can't comment on one way or another, but am I getting the general sense right?
Yes, and it's all public record. Whenever all the candidates for judges, it's all public record. People can look it up.
Yep.
And they have to disclose a bunch of things.
Yep.
Yes, all of that is things that are available, and people vote.
Got it. But again, it goes through a jury, and a jury's going to make a decision based on.
Yes, if the plaintiff requests a jury trial in a case, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you get a jury, and you don't know what kind of jury you're gonna get. But here, I mean, we were. Now I'm going on a tangent, but I'm like,
Please. It's better listen. I got to hear this guy over and over, and he repeats himself over and over and over.
Yeah.
Who's repeating himself over and over? Okay, enough of that.
Yeah, but I thought it was. I mean, it was interesting because a lot of people did have inherent bias just because they're like, I went through this or this denial, right. And it's like we had to go through a lot of jurors to get like non-biased ones. And I was very impressed at the quality of the jurors too. They were very intelligent people that we got. So I was
notice how she's looking at me, Oscar, when she said that. When she was talking about older people Medicare, I noticed she's looking at you.
Sure, she looked your way. I know. I was on a jury one time, and it was one of the most incredibly.
Did you actually sit for the case?
I did sit for the case.
The other attorney didn't have you like stricken or whatever the term is removed, like the gong show. Pull out that gong and hit that. You actually got to sit for a trial.
They had a gong, but they let me sit.
Okay.
So it was. I gotta say,
but you were probably like the backup jury. You weren't in the first. You weren't on the varsity.
I was second string.
JV.
I was third string.
You were third string.
Triple A. So it was one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had in my life. It was wonderful because you got to really understand how attorneys present their cases, how they master evidence, how they put it together, how they present it, and then you got to go into this room after it's all done with a bunch of strangers and decide and defend your position on an issue. And in our case, we had like 3 or 4 holdouts, which meant we were there day after day. And in the end, it was, a matter of really refining the facts down to what is it that is being alleged and what do the facts say? Simplify it as much as possible. And in your case, I would think that it is a matter of just keeping the message very tight, right? Because you don't want to confuse the jurors, because then you could lose the whole case based on their inability to process the information. Is that correct?
Yes, right. Or bias because of the issue, right? Because one thing in the law is that it does not look at humanity or compassion at all. So even if it's morally wrong, it could still be legal. Like,
oh, we got plenty of examples of that. Don't worry about that. No explanation necessary.
No explanation.
But that's one of the things, like with the jury, like so much evidence was kept out. Like Oscar obviously filed like a bunch of motions saying we don't want the anything in there about how he's feeling emotionally, how it's affecting. And I'm just like, well, this is like normal part of life. Like that's like common sense. But
she's looking at me when she says common sense, Oscar. She's not looking at you very often, my friend.
But it's just like, to me, it's still extraordinary as a human being to see how the law works in that sense. I mean, it is the law and we have to respect it, but like there's humanity. You have to like acknowledge humanity too, but we can't really do that. It's just something kind of strange. Well, not strange, but I guess in this type of situation, there's like an inherent conflict sometimes where like, what the law says and the humanity of it, like this person just wants to live. And it's like,
how do you, what kind of stress relievers you have? I mean, are you always thinking about those law? I mean, when this thing ends, you might got to be like doing what? You're going to
cartwheels.
Like Oscar does Dungeons and Dragons. He likes to dress up in his
In fact, we got to cut it short today because I got a convention.
He plays Dungeons and Dragons.
4 hours.
What do you do in like your free time?
Well, I like to travel. I have a horse. I love nature, and I'm a Porsche enthusiast. So driving
cars.
That's right.
I have not had a car since 2013.
It's true.
Oh, wow.
No cars.
That's
and the court and the judge did not order that. I decided voluntarily.
I'm still investigating. I think you buried the file very deep. I'm having trouble finding it.
So you're a gearhead, all due respect.
Yes, but just Porsche. That's
look at that.
Fancy.
Wow. Tell us about it. How did you get into that?
It's my dream car since I was 9. I saw, I remember we would always go to neighborhoods and then go to family dinners every Sunday. And we were driving in a beautiful neighborhood and I saw this red Porsche, which I think is a 987. I don't know. It's from the 90s. I'm still learning those numbers.
Yes.
But I fell in love with it since I was 9. And ever since that, I was like, when I'm a pediatrician, because I wanted to be a doctor, like I told you before we started this,
right.
I'm going to get that car. I ended up becoming a healthcare lawyer, but I finally got my dream car.
Incredible.
And that has been a big part of my stress relief during this process, because I love to travel. I couldn't travel, obviously, because I'm dealing with this case.
Yeah.
And it was challenging also to go out in nature because I had to be so focused. But I guess that was my biggest stress relief, just going on walks and then getting in the car and driving.
It's awesome. And how does the idea of a Porsche club is really interesting, because you have a lot of people that are interested in the same hobby that you have, right? And it can move and it can go super fast. I mean, this is like,
is this
amazing.
like formal, or did you found a club like Oscar? Aren't you part of the Taylor Swift fan club Miami chapter?
I'm the president of the
Miami chapter of Taylor Swift.
I am.
Did you found a Porsche club, or is that something that exists like worldwide, or?
So there are some that exist, but I did find I am the founder of my own. So there's the Porsche Club of America, which I joined when I first got my car. It's a 911 Carrera. It's pink also, but
pink.
Well, Ruby Star Neo is the correct term.
There we go. That's very specific.
Very precise.
You can see why she beat Oscar on that case.
It's true.
She's naming names. How come you're not so articulate as she is?
I don't know.
But I started going to the car meets and it was all men, and I'm like, I want to like meet women that are like me, so we can
professional, successful. Yep.
Exactly, and have these cars and love them. So I started Ladies in Porsches, and that's taken a life of its own. So that actually did help me cope with the stress with the case.
That's awesome.
That's nice.
I'm glad I had my little group of ladies. Yeah.
Community is what's really important here. That's why we're here at Community News, because it's in the name, right? I mean, we're in the headquarters right now in South Miami, and it's one of the most important publications, a survivor, scrappy, family-based company that has been here for decades. And we're lucky enough to benefit from that whole operation over so many years. And I think that that's part of what you're tapping into with this club is a community, a family, right? You know each other, you see each other. That's an amazing resource for a lot of people.
Yes. And we also help out at, like, we do nonprofit events where we support nonprofits. So that's a nice part of it too. And it's the community, because in the legal world, yes, I have a community. But if I go to a lawyer's event, all we're going to talk about is law. And I'm like, after dealing with all this.
Or donations.
That's like the last thing I want to talk about. I need a break. Yes. So it's good to like be able to get a breather.
Yeah.
And we really do enjoy, like I said, helping like the community and nonprofits. We've done a few of those events.
So is a Porsche a depreciating asset like a regular car? Or does a Porsche actually maintain its value?
I think it maintains its value.
It does?
Yes.
All right, so there's not as many of them built. There's a group down here. I've seen it. What they do is don't do it on the weekends, like Sunday. You'll sign up on Sunday. You'll pay whatever the fee is. This company owns a bunch of exotic cars. And people will get together, let's say, I'm going off the cuff here. Let's say 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever, everybody meets, and they roll out like 4 or 5 or 6 exotic cars, and you drive a certain period of time, a certain distance, and then everybody gets out, and then they rotate. So you're able to drive these 4 or 5 or 6 cars every Sunday for this amount, and you can drive like I've seen the Rolls Royce, there's like a Aston Martin, there's a Porsche, there's this, there's that. Have you ever seen this club? Have you ever heard about this club, or you ever participated?
No, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, usually,
it may be that Peter's been drinking heavy last night. And
I haven't been drinking, but I've been working. Some of us
delusional, but anyway.
No, that sounds really cool. I mean, in ours, usually everybody has their own car. But that's a good concept because you would have the opportunity to try different cars.
Yeah. Do you live in a Porsche design tower? That's rhetical. You do not have to answer to that.
No.
But there's a developer out in Sunny Hills Beach. Porsche design tower. He names the car elevator after himself. It's called the Deservator.
Yeah, the Deservator, exactly.
Could you, as a Porsche person, could you see driving your car into an elevator, having it take you to the 40th floor, and then have the car parked right outside your unit, and so every time you looked over, your sofa, you're able to see your car.
I think you're selling her a condominium.
I'm not selling her a condominium, but I'm saying, I don't understand cars. To me, it's a depreciating asset. I mean, is that something you want to be close to? Like Oscar likes to be close to his teddy bear. He's got a teddy bear. He carries it all everywhere.
Teddy bear.
Do you always want to be close to your
car right now?
I have to say yes.
Really?
I think it's a Porsche thing.
Right.
That would be cool, but yeah.
But you know what's interesting? In real estate right now, I don't know that you know about this because you don't do all real estate.
I only do condos.
But anyway, there are what they're calling man caves now inside of the real estate world, in some warehouse districts and different areas of commercial parks, where individuals will bring their car to this space and have like pool tables and a bar and all this stuff.
It's all about the cars.
And it's all about the car, because the car is a focal point of that particular thing. So sometimes you'll see it actually in the database. It'll come up like man cave ready to go. I just saw one for sale, and they have decent value. I mean, it's an amazing new niche that's been created in the last 5 years. So it's pretty cool. Now, how I met Maria is because we worked together. I was her agent finding a new office space for her in South Miami.
Did he do a good job, or did he waste a lot of time?
No, he did a good job. He saw my vision and matched me like exactly.
Look at that. Amazing.
Yeah, no, Oscar's actually good. He's actually good.
But the reason why I bring it up is it's in Palmetto Bay, right?
Yep.
And what I think is interesting about that is that while the storyline in the United States is that everybody's working from home, you actually decided to move from one place to another office, which was actually bigger, not smaller.
Because she wanted to drive her Porsche.
If
she's working from home, she can't. What's she going to take it to Publix? And then you got Instacart. You're not
she can answer the question instead of you. You're not her spokesman after all. So why did you make that decision while everybody's talking about, everybody's working from home and all these offices are empty? In our community, in our market, actually, that's not the case. But why did you make that decision to invest in a larger office?
Because I do want to keep growing the firm, and I think it's important, like just working together when we are in the office, my employees, that we have that sense of community or being together. It's not the same being on the face of a computer. Like I do have one remote employee that's amazing, but she's a military spouse, and I really support the military because my son is a veteran. So in that case, I'm like, she can be remote for always because she's amazing, and I want to support that family. But I do think it's important to like have the face-to-face and then getting dressed and going to the office and
showering.
Yeah. And
showering. You to do that, Peter. And I was talking to my doctor this morning. I had a doctor's visit, and he was telling me basically the same story, that he wanted to be closer to his house. And so he moved from Miami Beach
that is one of the
to
reasons.
Coral Gables after 30 years being in Miami Beach. And that was a big factor for you, which I know is actually driving a lot of activity in the office market specifically, which is where I specialize. There is a lot of activity from executive level people who are interested in moving closer to where they live, but also they're sensitive to where their employees live. They don't want to be too far from where generally everybody's located. Yeah,
that was another issue. And I also wanted a different vibe, like in the downtown or downtown Dayland or downtown Miami. It's just so congested and like go. And this area is just like more calm. You're like in the suburbs. You don't have to deal with parking garages. So that to me was a plus. And of course, being close to home.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I mean, for me, this particular location is one of the best. There's a park right next door. So you're getting a lot of value still in the marketplace. You can find places that are going to make you happy, that are close to where you live, that are going to allow you to create that community, expand it, and have people come, your clients come to the office. So I think that movement is very important in our market and makes our market different to some degree, because there are markets in New York, Chicago, et cetera, that are still having a lot of issues trying to figure that out. California. So I'm glad that we were able to make that happen, because it's a great, story, an end to that part of the story. So I know that now we're getting close to the end. We're going to get to our favorite part of the show, where we talk about hacks and whether our topic is hot or not, whether it's on fire, as we like to say.
Well, I think what we ought to do for this one is maybe Maria can give us people some tips.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe some tips and say, because I don't know what I can really offer in terms of some sort of way to improve your quality of life related to healthcare and dealing with healthcare.
No, I can guarantee you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on.
But Maria, are there any tips you might be able to offer to the audience in terms of if they find themselves in a situation where the doctor says they need to do this, they need to do that, they're getting jammed up, they're getting denied, or there may be two or three tips that you can offer to people in terms of how to approach it, and then when to give you a call and be like, hey, listen, put that cape back on, park the Porsche, put the cape on, let's go into the courtroom and let's make it happen. Because can you throw out some ideas for people?
Yes. So I think one of the things is people don't know many times. Now they're learning that you can sue your health insurance company. Like a lot of people are like, oh, they deny it, so I have to accept the denial. Right. So I would say first, if something does get denied, you do appeals. You have to do appeals, but work with your doctor. Like your doctor is your best friend in this situation with medical treatment. And they know best as far as the medical part. So when you do appeals, a lot of people, some people do them. They just write a letter. Like you can't just write a letter. You have to say, here's the reason why I believe this needs to be covered. And then put everything, like as far as your medical records, there's coverage guidelines from the policy that are online. Ask your doctor, are there medical journal articles? So those are things like look for this information and put it in there, because one letter is not going to do anything. And then it's just going to make your case better. So that's one. Then two, always, I would say, I'll emphasize working with your doctor. If something does get denied, like do not be fighting your doctor or saying they're not right or this or that, because they're very noble in their profession and they get a bad rap in this situation, and the insurance companies are not allowing them to practice medicine, basically. So really look at them as your biggest resource in getting anything you need approved done. And then lastly, if you've gone through all of that, you can look into legal action. That's the tip that I would say is you do have recourse. You could go to court. You need to consider if that would be the best option for you, but do look into that option. You do not have to accept a denial from a health insurance company as the final say, because that's just not true.
Exactly.
You have rights.
And I know, and I'm not an attorney, but I know like the Florida bar and everything, they control what you can say, what you can't say, marketing, advertising, stuff like that. I mean, the way I understand it, when you're working with an attorney, typically from the inquiries I've had, it's $5,000. You typically get an open consultation, then it's $5,000 to basically retain an attorney in order to go forward. Are there any general guidelines you can give to somebody if in fact they follow your process, they get to step 3 and they say, you know what, this just isn't right, and I'm willing to dig in for whatever reason, and I want to try to sue this or look into suing. What's the general rules of engagement for something like that?
Well, I mean, it really depends. Like in my practice, we have different things. If it's Medicaid, Medicare, there's some flat fee things that we do because it's administrative hearings. Yep. But if it's a case where we can get attorney's fees and costs from the insurance company, then we would do that on contingency. Got it. Where they don't have to pay anything. And that's one of the Florida has a public policy where they say to gain access to the courts, these contingency contracts are allowed. So basically we don't get paid unless we win the case.
Got it. And then my final question before we wrap this up, what's the proportion? I'm assuming the money's coming from the healthcare side. Therefore, there's more attorneys that are protecting the healthcare company rather than people like you who are going out there and fighting the good fight and standing up for what's fair and trying to get the healthcare companies to do what they say they're going to do eventually. Have you ever seen a proportion or a ratio of the number of plaintiff attorneys going after healthcare companies versus the number of law firms or lawyers protecting the healthcare companies?
Right. Well, you mean health insurance?
Health insurance. Yeah. I'm sorry.
So yeah.
I'm going back and forth. I'm a neophyte.
Okay. Yeah, so absolutely. It is disproportionate. Most of them are protecting the health insurance companies. Like, I am an anomaly in this sense because there are very, very few attorneys that actually do this or that just specialize and just focus on these types of cases. So yes, I mean, it's disproportionate. I think some more attorneys are learning a little bit about it, but there are just very few of us that would actually take this on, and even taking it on is very hard. I've been doing it now for about 8-9 years, and it's just, sometimes I want to quit because I'm like, it's so hard. It's not easy. It's not an easy, but something inside is like, don't quit. Like, people need you. You have to keep going. And yeah, because there are mostly, like you're saying, the ones that are defending them.
Wow. Oscar, this is a fantastic, fascinating conversation.
Incredible.
Despite you being here.
I know. It's incredible.
Why don't you land this podcast? Why don't you summarize it all for us? Because I think we're both going to agree that from a Miamees on Fire perspective, I mean, what Maria is doing and just this pushback. Anybody who's dealt with health care, insurance, health insurance, has kind of run into this. And I understand both sides of the equation, but I think, you know, for what you're doing, I don't think there's any question. There's really a need for this. And so I don't even know if it's worth the discussion.
Yeah, in our community, because our population is older, there are going to probably be more of these types of cases going forward. And every time that there's a case that you win and another attorney might win, there's another opportunity for someone else to see that and say, you know, I'm not at the end of the rope here. Maybe there is an opportunity for me to figure out a way to make the situation with an insurance company work, right? To extend my life, to be able to make it so that your quality of life gets better, not worse. And there are choices here, and that's super important. So I'm glad that you're still in the fight, that you continue to fight. It's a great thing. You know, there are a few jobs in our economy that can provide that kind of feedback, that kind of value to people, and you obviously bring something that's very important. So I think that's on fire. This type of job that you do every day is an on fire kind of situation, and we thank you for doing it. We want to thank everyone today for coming and visiting the show, because Peter needs attention 24/7. I can only give so much, and then I get tired, you know. So I want to thank you for all the comments. I think this week we got one that I'm going to read one right now from, I can't remember my name. It says, both hosts need more hair. I agree with you. We need more hair. So if anybody has a doctor, maybe we need to go to Turkey. I don't know.
Oscar, you got plenty of hair on your knuckles.
It's true. This is where Peter and I got into a fight the other day. So you'll see hair marks on his forehead right there. But anyway, that was one comment that we got. We got another one from I Love Ketchup. And what they were saying was that Peter needs to change his wardrobe a little bit, because a white shirt every week is very dull. I don't know why they would say that. It's
predictable. When I go out, I wear black. When I'm working, I wear white.
The same clothes every week.
No, I walk into a place. If I like it, I buy 5 or 10 of them.
Look at that.
Because if you're going to go to the laundromat, you want 10 white shirts.
That's right.
You get to use 5, then you go take the other 5 in, and then you're constantly in rotation.
I love it.
That's practical.
People don't like volatility. They like predictability, Oscar. They like predictability.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
okay.
like you're predictably always late.
Oh, here we go. Oh, man, today you're going to love this. This is great gossip. Today, I spoke to Peter at 10 a.m. and I said, Peter, your cuber is arriving at 12:15. You better be on time. Oh, yeah. Don't worry, 12:15. I'm knocking on all the windows. I can't figure out where he is. Who knows? He could have been abducted for all I know. Like alien abduction, all these UFO files.
I was meditating, preparing for.
Meditating. All right.
Namaste.
Namaste. I don't think you can spell that, though.
Oh, I can spell namaste.
All right. So thanks, everyone, for coming. Thank you, community newspapers, for hosting us, as always.
Come in. Ask for Grant Miller. He's not doing anything. He'll give you a tour.
He's not doing anything. He might be at Arbetter's. He has a sausage, a 100 beef hot dog. I mean, it's incredible. A table with his picture on it.
Make sure you ask for Michael Miller, the publisher, the other publisher. Ask him for a tour.
The whole family.
He's probably going to be busy, though, so he'll hand you off the grant.
That's it. So, Maria, thank you so much for coming, and look forward to another show next week. 1 p.m. on Thursdays. That's when Miamees on Fire is always here. So come back, send us your comments. Give us your style tips for Peter. We'll be happy to take them.